So I was kind of looking for some hopefully somewhat easier projects I can do while I'm planning another somewhat larger project that hopefully won't take long, but that never seems to go well. Anyway, so I decided to make a, wasn't it, M1917 trench knife, which is, well, technically trench knives are really what they refer to any knife used in the First World War. But this is the one that the US started using, which is basically a spike with a guard on it. I don't think they were used very much, and not for very long, because a year later they came out with the 1918 trench knife, which is the one we all know that has the actual like brass knuckles and, you know, the blade on that. Also, it wasn't used very much either, but it's the one we all know. Anyway, I've been kind of want to make this for a while. It's one of those projects that's been on my list forever. I've just never really gotten around to. So I'm gonna try and do this with this chunk of leaf spring, or well, half. I cut out just so I don't have to sit and hammer a full width leaf spring into, well, something not much wider than this, or yeah, about this. Well, I didn't want to spend a ton of time having to hammer on this one, not absolutely necessary. So just chunk of leaf spring. I'm gonna hammer this out into probably into a point, and then trying to hammer it as close to square as I can. Of course, that's not easy to do, so I'll have to do a lot of grinding on it. But yeah, just gonna forge this into a triangle with a tang on it to go through the wood handle, and go from there. So now that the rough forging is done, I'm going to take my angle grinder, make it a little more triangular shaped, and have not such wide edges. And then I'll of course take the belt sander and clean everything up. So now that I have everything ground and sanded to about the shape I want, but haven't quite heat treated it yet, I went ahead and cut out my handle, which is like a 3.5 to 4 inch, I think, by like 1.5 inch piece of hickory. I think this is just the 1 inch board that I cut it from. But what I'm gonna do is clamp it in the vise, drill a hole through it. It's a 1/4 inch because that's close I got for the tang. Then I'm going to heat the tang up in the forge and burn a hole in it, because that'll make it where it'll fit perfectly onto this without any weird milling or carving or filing or whatever. It fits pretty well. You gotta be careful, because once that's heated up, this will melt. It does almost melt. And you gotta make sure that you don't get too much in any direction, but usually a bit of epoxy will fix that up. Then once I'm done with this, I'm going to heat treat and temper the blade, so that way I can start making the guard for it. so now that my blade is heat treated and tempered and ready to be mounted, I need something to mount it onto. I have my handle, not shaped yet, we'll get to that. But I have my knuckle guard here. This is just kind of the sketch I drew out. Basically this section here is the center part of it. It's going to remain the same. I'm going to cut out these pieces along here. That'll be, you know, that goes over here. Then I'll cut around these, and this will be kind of the spikes that are on the front of them, and then I'll round out in between everything here. Yeah, I'm just going to cut this out with my angle grinder, and hopefully it doesn't go too horribly wrong. In theory it shouldn't, but you know, I've been wrong before. So after I cut everything out, I went ahead and just drilled a hole in there. Didn't film it. Sorry about that. No, I'm not. It's kind of a pain to drill through steel and film at the same time. But it's roughly the same width as the tang at the end here. As you see, that tapers quite a bit. But it still has to go in. So I'm going to take a series of files, open it up to where it fits in. If I get desperate, I'll use a Dremel, but that's only if things get desperate. It leaves these little teeny tiny metal shards, and those get stuck in. They really suck. Files are way better. So I'm going to file it open as best I can. Then I'm going to flip it to the other side and drill in a small hole to fit this side, which I'm going to round out, so that way I can mushroom it out so everything stays in place. And then I just basically have to make the handle, bend that, of course, and assemble everything. Okay, so the guard is a little larger than I thought it would be. I mean, I guess it's been a little small, but you know, never really made a guard like this, so I'm not surprised, but it is what it is, I guess. It took too much work to get to this far, I'm not changing it. But what I'm going to do now is sand the handle, which basically, most of them, the back of it's just kind of round a little bit with some slight finger grooves. And of course, round the whole thing out so it's not, you know, square. And then just clean the guard up with the wire wheel and assemble it. Okay, now that I have everything basically completed, that's not a word, completed, I have the tang covered in epoxy, as you can't see it because it's in the handle, and I'm just going to hammer out this end to where everything stays together in one piece, and have this knife finished. Not going as well as I hoped, but I have actually seen worse trench knives. Because they're really common, because they're cool, but, you know, cheap knives can be cringy sometimes, just saying. Go.
It's in there pretty good.
Smash it down on the thing.